Here
So,
we are.
how are you today?
I'm doing okay. It's a little wet and rainy, but we need rain out here. So, we can get it without people dying. That'd be great. But we'll get it. We'll hopefully everything's okay.
So, Resident Alien season three. I love that we're into season three.
I love that we're into season three too, actually. I just watched 301 through 304, and I gotta say, knowing what's coming, it's a really, really strong season. It's nice to be able to say that and like mean it. Sometimes you say that, oh, it's gonna be great, and you're like, oh, we've really laid a dud here. But this in this case, it actually is. It's we got some really good stuff for the audience this season.
So, I want to talk, Sheriff Mike. I mean, he's
Yeah.
one of those characters that you really don't want to like, but end up loving because he's just so straight-laced and he says what he means and he means what he says. What's it like for you playing, that sort of character?
It's the most fun I've ever had. This is the best job I've ever had. I've never had a work experience where I had so much influence over a character. I had someone describe him to me once as a likable asshole. They were saying, that's a tough needle to thread. They use also comparison from Dwight from The Office, where you get to the point where this guy is kind of nuts, but you kind of come to expect it from him at some point. So you're more open to it once you've been desensitized to how he works. But I think it's he's a complicated character because I think a lot of his bravado and overconfidence is absolutely inspired by this huge insecurity that lies within him, like most people. When you're afraid of someone discovering what you don't like about yourself, you do everything to hide that from the world. And so, for someone like him who had experienced that loss that we came to discover in season two, he wanted to make sure that that hole was paved over and had a do not trespass, and then put some spice. You know what I mean? He was like making sure it stayed completely covered. But Deputy Lib just slowly just unscrewed it. Uh-huh. That's very nice. That's very nice. Let's dig this out and let's figure out, what's who hurt you? Who hurt you? You know?
I've loved seeing Mike and Liv grow as sort of like this old married couple. Pretty
Totally. That's exactly what they are. And I think she was the first to get him, and maybe she was the first for him, that he allowed his guard down. I think he's come to trust her and value her in ways that he's been afraid to let people get that close to him for some time. And he's a complicated guy, man. Life is complicated, a lot of complicated things.
He
So,
is. I mean, at what point did you find out the backstory? Because a lot of people have only been finding things out in season two, so then they're looking back on season one, going, "Oh, maybe I could play this a bit differently." Did you?
yeah, Chris, we at the beginning of every season, he usually we get a call or meet up with him, and we discuss um ideas, and he tells you what he's seeing and gets your input on that. And that experience of loss, and him not understanding, grief and death, and never having that wound really heal. Um, it caused him to walk with an emotional limp for for a long time. And I think that's something that people can relate to. I know I can relate to that sense of what a traumatic incident, how that can shape everything about you, sometimes without you even knowing. You just become an extension of that pain, and you start employing methods to prevent you from ever experiencing that again at all costs. And unfortunately for him, it was creating new holes in his life. And so at some point you have to not just want something to be over, but to have it be resolved. And I think that's what Deputy Liv helped him find.
She's so cute.
We get all super deep all of a sudden. Let me tell a joke about, people dying in a storm again so we can get this thing back on track. Sorry.
You've
But
got
yeah, no, I
Liv,
mean, he's a deep guy.
and that's it. You've got Liv, who is very much, she believes in aliens. Mike definitely does not. But we've
Yes.
got this alien tracker who's been killed. Mike knows something's up. What does he actually think is up? Because it's not aliens.
I think he thinks this is some sort of conspiracy of some kind. I think, he's entertaining, like at the end of the season. I think the cops coming and showing up and not being real cops and having uniforms. I think he believes there's something going on, undoubtedly. Whether or not it's, little space people, I think he thinks that's just a tool that the government would use to cover something up. I think he's a skeptic, but I think he's smart enough as an investigator to understand that all of these things can't be a coincidence. All of this happening all at once, there's got to be something. But aliens, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think he just sees it as there's some wonky shit going on around here, and we're gonna figure out what this wonky shit is, and I'm gonna prove to you that it's not aliens and just some wonky shit.
But you're going to prove that it's Harry, but he's not an alien. There we are.
Yeah, well, we were on the right track, and Harry kind of shifted some thoughts around, which was nice because he actually gave Mike a memory that he never had with his dad. So that was, or hadn't had since he was a kid. So that was actually a bonus. But it's hard to investigate a slippery six-armed, four-armed alien. You know what I mean? So
Well, that is all I've got time for, but thank you so
all
much.
right, thank you. Have a good one, Alexandria.